Welcome back to Spitballin Cards. In today's episode, we have Cardboard Consensus. This is an episode where I will say a statement, and we will all hold up our fingers in the same time on the count of 3 on 1 to 5 if we agree or disagree with that statement. Very first statement, we would be better off killing half of the Topps products. I almost got Thanos on you.
That was a dramatic pause. I was like, oh God, who is Scott killing?
Killing off one of the hosts of...
All right. Wonder why this was this week. That's why. Just kidding, Ty.
Yep. All right. So 5 we agree, 1 we disagree.
Yep.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. Okay, Phil, you're the lowest. What's your thoughts?
That you guys have a narrow-minded perspective. That I include myself with, the 3 of you guys too, we don't open up a lot of product.
Yep.
And that's a big part of why we're able to buy single cards, us here. And there are certain products that are important for that more than others. Talked about Cosmic before, a product that from a single perspective, none of us would be caught dead holding any Cosmic card because it's stupid, it's contrived, space-oriented theme. Why do we need this? We already have all this other Topps Chrome stuff. But it's very important for unique products to be designed for people to be opening them. And if we only have 40 products, the print run issues that we have on a product by product basis, like those would just get amplified in orders of magnitude times 2. So where Scott makes those videos talking about 360 different Wander cards in Top Series 1, it then gets doubled. Or the print run of those existing cards gets doubled. So either way, we're going to deal with dilution. And when you say we, I don't know if you mean we as in like the hobby ecosystem or we as in the 4 of us. Because if it's the hobby ecosystem, like it needs additional products, in my opinion, in order to keep print runs somewhat steady for Bowman Draft, Bowman Chrome, Bowman. Some of the products that Fanatics hasn't messed with as much and hasn't needed to mess with, frankly, because they've been able to add mega boxes and first edition, which they've done away with, and sapphire versions of stuff. And you take away, so with Topps Chrome, you take away Gilded, Cosmic, Logo Fractor, Topps Chrome Light, which doesn't exist anymore because you're basically admitting the product's watered down, so it was a bad name for it. But if you get rid of all those like 8 or 9 different Topps Chrome sets that exist, then you just have to juice up the print run of Topps Chrome to meet demand, because that's ultimately what they're doing. Meeting demand, not for us, but the folks that are opening the product. And we should be happy that they exist because they allow us to buy the product on eBay in the form of singles.
I want to point out that I'm completely aware by 4. The reason I put 4 and not 5 is because from my perspective, it's easy to say kill it because I don't suffer the consequences of the products disappearing, right? Like I will buy the cards, single cards. Maybe they're a little bit more because there's less cards to go after. But for me, it's easy to say get rid of them because I probably won't buy a Topps Pristine card for long-term investment. I probably won't buy Bowman Sterling. I wouldn't buy, and there's a lot of things I wouldn't target. But so I agree with what you're saying. I want to be self-aware that I would be okay with it, but because I don't open the product and don't care about the pricing as much. Okay, who had 5? Was it you, Chris?
Yeah,
that was you, Jeff. Hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, I see the points that you guys are making. I just think there's a couple issues with it. When Phil, it kind of blew my mind when Phil said if we go down to 40, meaning we have what 80 products. I just think there's a couple things would be improved if we got rid of them. And I'm not saying get rid of all low end products. I'm saying there's in fact some of the low end products that they have gotten rid of I wish they'd bring back, like opening day. But I think it increases the barrier for entry for new people coming into the hobby. I've had a few people, even in the last couple months, talk to me about wanting to get cards for their kids, because we have a lot of kids, or in my friend group, there's a lot of kids that are 6, 7, 8, and they're just completely overwhelmed when they go to the store just because they don't know what to get. So I feel like it is a little overwhelming for new people coming into the hobby. So that's one reason that I would get rid of them. And the other reason is that it seems like we have new products coming out so often that we forget or we don't get a chance to really enjoy or amplify or advertise or promote or get excited about the products that do come out because another one's already coming out. We have multiple products per week. So yeah, I feel like I understand all the arguments you guys are making, and I feel like maybe there could be some medium found within the cutting it 50%. But I feel like they could do a better job of making it accessible for new people coming into the hobby, as well as spreading it out so that new products aren't overlapping.
Okay, what do you think, Chris?
I just want to flash back to a conversation I had in Cards HQ in April. I was there visiting Teapot with my wife, and we were talking about products, and she saw the Sapphire box the Sapphire boxes, and she asked what that product was, and Teapot was like, "Oh, that's the like the premium version of Bowman Chrome." And she's like, "Oh, so it's a better version of Bowman Chrome?" And Teapot's like, "Basically, yeah." She's like, "Well, why would anyone ever buy Bowman Chrome then?" And the entire store like went quiet. Like, I feel like even people that weren't listening, like they knew there was a question in the air that no one's able to answer. So Teapot just directed the conversation somewhere else. And my wife was like, "Well, no, I'm really wondering." And we're like, no, look over here. And I feel like every time I look at like some other Topps Chrome thing that comes out, I'm just like, why? I find myself asking questions like that. And there's just too much of everything. So maybe half is too much, but they could certainly cut a third off. And I don't think anyone would notice. And if they wanted to print more Topps Chrome, like I'm okay with that. Like I didn't mind the expanded checklist. I don't mind more parallels because it doesn't change the parallels that I want to go after anyway. And like Phil said, I'm not ripping Topps Chrome, trying to find those parallels because I know it's virtually impossible. I am going to rip some Stadium Club though, for sure, when that comes out. I think we're about
really.
To you see the price point on that,
Chris?
If it's $199, I'm not ripping.
Should have bought the pre-release at $150.
Oh my God, it was $120 last year.
Chris, yeah. I never would have guessed that you would open Stadium Club.
Oh, we did a little rip party last year.
Stadium Club?
Are you being sarcastic or serious?
Yeah,
I can't tell.
Oh,
yeah, okay. All right.
That's really cool. I will say you've kind of converted me to it though.
I know most boxes you don't get your ROI, but at least with Stadium Club, like I just picked up a couple retail boxes. We open up with my dad when I saw him, and like there's old timey players, there's current players, there's like black and white cards or players from the 1920s, black and white photos of players from the 1920s. And there's just really cool stuff in there. There's like a Don Drysdale that we pulled, and my dad told me some Don Drysdale stories. Like I think that set can sort of tie generations together, and it's the pictures are great. Like there's a shot of Babe Ruth playing the saxophone, I think it is, Jeff, in last year's Stadium Club product. Like I mean, there's really fun stuff in there.
Driving a car, and at the price point, it has been much more palatable in the past. It's been between like $100 and $120 for the past few years for a box. Now we're seeing $200. That's a lot.
Yeah, $199 on blowout is a little bit brutal. Like that I'm not gonna go. Maybe hopefully Burbank will have it for less.
Just buy an older product.
And speaking of Stadium Club, it was disappointing to us Stadium Club fans that they cut Stadium Club Chrome as one of the products when they did make their haircut of products.
I don't mind what they did now making. I think every card is a Chrome version. I think that's fine. I think that's totally fine.
Totally fine. But they
on card. I know
that's a huge deal.
I know.
The best part about Stadium Club Chrome, like, they're on-card autos, and now those are gone.
Yeah. To Fanatics' defense, they probably already did cut 20 to 30% of the products. So they probably did exactly what you were proposing.
Is it that high? I don't think it was that high.
I don't know. Then how many more did they introduce?
They
added 20 to 30%.
Yeah, I don't think too much credit here, Phil.
If people in the comments are saying that if they continue with whatever they have now, say if it's 60 products now, 65 products, if they continue that, it's going to kill the hobby in 10 years from dilution. Well, so might having 30 to 40 products with 2x the print run. There's a lot of different paths to ruining the hobby from greed. I guess with 65 to 70 products, with a higher number of products, you're introducing more contrived fake scarcity and additional parallels that could be more painful and could create a greater collapse maybe than those that kind of knew their base cards weren't worth much the entire time. But then again, you could just introduce double the parallels in the existing products too. So
it's hard. Yeah. To Phil's point, somebody opens a pack of one of these lesser products and they get a card out of 25 and they think it's going to be equivalent to a Topps Chrome out of 25. And then they get a rude awakening when they see on eBay that it's a $2 card.
Yeah. We latch on to what we like and nothing even gets close. So, okay, that's enough for that conversation. Great thoughts, everybody. Next one. If breakers went away, they never existed, the hobby would be completely fine.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Damn it. I can't line up my camera.
I think so. The reason I did this on my last baseball card hot takes on my other channel, on that video, I had two people like, breakers are so vital because they get singles in the market and it's so needed. And it's like, not really. Cards always got to the market. It's just more people could open the product because it was cheaper.
Bingo.
And breakers, the elevated prices, I would say, is 90% because of breakers.
That was the best part of your video, Scott. I have to say, I don't know if you saw my comment on the video, but that was exactly it. When you mentioned 2018 update hobby boxes being $45, it's just.
I think that's what they were at the 2019 National. They were like $50, $45, if I'm not mistaken. And all those cards still made it out there. I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't know. I'll let you guys go. Phil, let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so I said 5, but I think of the 4 of us, I think if you had worded that question like, if breakers went away, would the hobby still be thriving? Then I might put 2. If you had said, would the industry still be thriving if breakers went away? Or if you had worded it a little bit differently, yeah, the hobby would be fine. But I think we collectively underestimate breaking and how important it is in the ecosystem, and not just for getting singles out in the wild, but breaking provides an experience. And I have no horse in the race because I don't break. Okay. So it seems I'm biased. I'm really trying not to be, I guess. But after talking to some of my friends that do break a lot, they see it as easy access. They see it as entertainment. They see it as convenience. They see it as just something that you can't get from any other means. And so say a product comes out, you're excited about it. You want to be a piece of the new release of a product, but your LCS is too far away. It's too expensive. It's not reliable. It smells. Maybe it's the same price anyways. You don't know if you get there, if they're going to have it or not. Like, this allows you to get into a break, and it allows you to pay a certain price point. So the cost of the product could be more accessible if you do it within your means. That's the key, and most people don't, in my opinion, or a lot of folks don't. A lot of folks get carried away. They enter in too many breaks, and the aggregate of what they spend is way more than what it would cost to buy just like a single hobby box of that. But if you're being strategic, if you only want to target on certain players who don't care about the base cards, maybe they don't get shipped anyways, there's a way to kind of tailor the breaking to not only give you some entertainment, but also give you PC cards that you're actually hoping for. Now, there's random breaks and stuff. Okay, you want to raise your hand?
But I want to finish. I want you to finish your thought. So
yeah.
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to challenge something you said.
Is it increasing the cost for everybody else in the hobby that doesn't want to be part of a break? Yes. And that's unfortunate. But I would say that it's a big part of marketing. Fanatics has even said as much as to, we're going to run our business through the breakers. That's their choice. This is the most efficient way for them to grow, in my opinion, and for the hobby to grow, is to use breaking to do that. Now, will people get burnt out? Will there be a hobby in 5 years? I don't know the answer to that, but people keep on coming back. And it's not the only reason why products are expensive, though. There's Michael Rubin and Fanatics being the only game in town and making it really hard to get product, right? There's inflation of not just services, which is the entertainment piece of it, but also the raw materials that go into this stuff, right? And the hobby's just growing, whether you say it's from breaking or from other means, like, it's just growing. So products are just going to be a little bit more expensive. So it's not just breaking that's making products more expensive. And are they getting stuff out in the wild quicker for us singles collectors? Yeah, but I wouldn't say that's the only reason why breakers are good. So even though I said 5, I'm not team breaker, but I'm like kind of indifferent.
I'm going to challenge you, Phil. You're probably the closest to this because you sell wax. So like you're the closest to this. That's fine. I don't open wax. I know that's like a fault in my rating here, and I get that, and I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. It's not how I enjoy the hobby. You mentioned if you're able to balance collecting and buying the right things. What percent do you think really do that, Phil? Seriously, 5%, 1%? Like, nobody's doing that. That's my issue with it, though. It's just encouraging poor behavior, and then it makes it expensive for everybody else who's not participating in poor behavior.
Yeah.
To me. True. But am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I think that's important to bring up. I'm glad you brought that up.
But like, I get what you're saying. It's the Fanatics. They only bought tops. They paid for tops because of breaking, essentially. It's because they saw that being the potential for making money. And that's fine. That's what they saw as. That's the direction we're headed. And it's never going to come back. But I just want to challenge the notion, not from you, but from others who claim Well, singles wouldn't hit the market. I guess they would. They always have. Okay, what do you think, Jeff?
All right. I didn't think coming into this episode I'd be defending breaking, but I was at a 4, and the reason I didn't have 5 is for 2 important reasons. One, I think it does provide a way for people to find entry into the hobby, including myself.
Yeah, that's
so
totally
I got back into the hobby, hearing about breaking, hearing that I could get cards of players from my favorite team and not the other stuff. So, and I feel like there's still people coming into the hobby that way, and maybe they transition to singles collecting, or like Phil said, maybe they just stay in that breaking zone. So that's one important thing. And the other important thing is that they may not get more singles out in aggregate, but they sure do it faster. So it makes it fun for people like Chris and I, who love to see images, short print images and super short print the day the product comes out or the next day. And if there was no breaking, we wouldn't be seeing things that quickly. So for those couple of reasons, that's why I'm not a 5. Yeah, I think the hobby would survive. The hobby would, especially the collecting aspect, would be fine. But those are 2 important things that, at least to me, breaking provides.
Would you rather have the cards come out quicker because of breaking day after, or have the boxes be cheaper because they're cheaper, and then have like you get to open a few boxes and then you're able to find them within the week instead of the day after?
I would rather have the lower prices, but like Phil pointed out astutely,
it's not the only reason.
Breaking isn't the only reason. So yeah, if you could tell me we could get 2018 prices back, I'd say sure. But if the price is only going to go down 30% or something, then to me it's not worth it, because I'm not going to be breaking enough of it or opening enough of it anyway. Just show me the cards.
One thing I want to know before I go to Chris, I'm being contrarian a little bit, just so that way I can challenge you guys. Yeah. I'm saying that just because in case I ever run a break, I don't want this to like blow up in my face. But I'm only doing this to like challenge the notion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Leave that window open for a spitball break. So we don't.
Yeah. I hope you know, like, I'm saying this just because this is what people feel. And I feel it too. But I do see what you're both saying. Like, I'm not saying that I'm right and you're wrong, because I don't believe that. What do you think, Chris?
All right, I put up 5, and I had 2 reasons in my head for that at the time. One is that it has driven the price up, and 2, that it just promotes, in my head, it really just exacerbates the gambling aspect of the hobby. And I feel like you enter a break, you're just spinning a roulette wheel and seeing what happens. And that, like, it's scary because like gambling is super addictive. We pretend it isn't, but it really, really is. And sports betting is like sweeping across this country in a really scary, terrifying way. And I've watched a buddy of mine in New Jersey basically told me he can't go near a casino anymore. Like he has to, his wife like checks his phone because he lost all control of it. So I get very concerned about breaking in that regard but having said that, one thing Phil said, I think brings me down to a 4. It does provide an experience. And it's like, that's an important part of the hobby. Like when I was just getting back in after Jeff dragged me kicking and screaming, I watched a bunch of breaks, and it was, God, I hate to say the word entertaining. When 2020 Finest Flashbacks came out, like I forget who it was, Jeff, who was doing those like 20 or 50 or even like 100 box breaks. And like we sat there, like those cards were really cool, and it was great to see them, come out. So there is like an entertainment value to them. So I'm bringing my 5 down to a 4 just because of that. But the increased gambling nature of it all, I can't get under a 4. And I would wait. I'd be happier to wait longer for the cards to come out if the prices came down and fewer people were being like psychologically ruined by it.
Yeah, I'll also note that's a great point. Breaking's been happening for over a decade. I think the difference now is what it's become, right? But like breaking inherently is not bad, right? If it's done correctly or in moderation. They can say that about a lot of stuff. But I do agree, fast track to get someone back in the hobby. I wonder about baseball cards. I Google baseball cards, 4th video down to break. Wow, this stuff is awesome. It is the best way to get someone back in the hobby. My uncle, that's how he found the hobby. And then he went and bought a couple hobby boxes with his 12-year-old, 13-year-old son. It's like that is a good point. But, and the entertainment factor is real. But I don't know. I think the hobby itself would be fine. But I do agree with Phil, maybe like the rate of growth would be lower. So.
And also not just the rate of growth, but resale prices on singles. So we talked about already, we alluded to like the second order effect of if you get into breaking, maybe you end up being a hobby person and you get burnt out, and you see this path over and over, whether it's buying into breaks or buying individual boxes and opening them. A lot of people realize 3 to 4 months later, like, I can't do this, but I still want to be part of the hobby. So I'm just going to stick to singles.
Yeah.
the sports cards and nonsense Facebook is a lot of people that are kind of novices to the hobby, and a lot of people that are more intermediate that have been in for a year and a half, 2 years, saying like, stop doing breaks, do what I did, stop entirely and just buy singles. So we're almost being a little hypocritical, pointing the finger at breakers and breaking, because that's allowing us to benefit from higher prices effectively by more people in the hobby that are then buying individual cards. It's not often the people that are breaking that are propping up those prices. But again, if they become somewhat of a hybrid persona in the hobby where they're doing breaking, they're buying into singles, or they're just morphing into singles. So I would say, though, for the folks that think we're out of our wheelhouse in this one, I would say we definitely are. The four of us don't really know a whole lot about breaking, like we don't know much about vintage. So if you say anything stupid about vintage, we apologize, because it's not our forte.
I do want to note, though, while we may be out of our wheelhouse, maybe for those that do break, it's a great insight into the other half of the hobby that does not view it similarly to them. So, okay, let's do one 30-second cardboard consensus real quick. People who bought Giancarlo Stanton are going to regret it by January. Agree is 5, disagree is 1. 3, 2, 1, go. Man, maybe the floor is higher. Who knows? Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you in the next episode.